Hey everybody, this is Greg Petix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the Petixonian Institute of Comic Book Studies. Today we're gonna be looking at Vanguard Illustrated number 1 through 3, published by Pacific Comics in 1983. Vanguard Illustrated went on for quite a few more issues. I believe it went for 8 or 9 issues. I only have the first 3 because the other issues aren't that good. They're not worthy to be in the Petixonian. These comics are not that great. The main reason I have them and I keep them in the collection is because they contain the first 3 chapters of Peter Milligan and Brendan McCarthy's Freakwave series, which would continue on into the Strange Days miniseries. Like a lot of anthologies, it's a mixed bag, but this has some real crap in them. And I wish somebody would collect the Freakwaves in a nice collection so I could buy that and get rid of these. But there's some interesting stuff here and there other than the Freakwave stuff. Let's look at the first issue here. Yeah, Vanguard Illustrated had some interesting stuff after number 3. I believe Mr. Monster by Michael T. Gilbert premiered in a Vanguard Illustrated. But let's look at the first issue. We got a nice cover by Tom Yeats, the Kubert School graduate from the first class. Fine illustrator. Very classic, old school kind of illustrating. That's what he's always been known for. We start with the story Libretto, written by David Campitti, illustrated by Tom Yeats and Rick Bryan on inks. David Campitti, I've only seen him write for Pacific. They seem to love this guy. I think he might have even worked for Pacific, but he would write all these stories for their anthologies. And I'm glad he got out of the game because I really don't like his writing. And you'll see why soon. The inker, Rick Bryan, he was a guy who was in so many fanzines in the late 70s, early 80s, and he could really draw really well. But for decades after that, it'd always pop up as an inker. Like, I think he inked stuff for Vertigo. Here and there, it'd always pop up just inking someone. But he's a really good artist on his own. And he's also one of those inkers that, like, adds a lot of his style to the penciler. So it's pretty nice art, this Tom Yeats, Rick Bryan combination. Oh, I should mention colors by Joe Chiodo, one of the earlier, cartoonists who utilized the full palette that the new coloring processes of the 80s brought about. So we got it's a sci-fi story. In this future, there's this like James Bond type guy who works for the Empire. He's in Her Majesty's Gala service. And I guess secret agents in this future, they have like a pheromone implant so that the opposite sex can't really fight them. So if he's on a mission, for example, we see him on a mission here, and he's up against all these guards, and all the female guards can't hurt him. In fact, they're helping him escape. They just can't help themselves. So he's done with the mission, goes back to whatever, headquarters, and they're like, hey, you got to go on a mission right now, immediately. It turns out there's this defector, and you have to stop them from defecting to the rebellion and return them to us or kill them. So he goes to this star system. Of course, he gets lots of help from all these random women he meets. And what it turns out to be is the defector is actually a planet. It's like Ego the Living Planet. The whole planet is sentient. And when he gets there, the planet tries to fuck him up, tries to drown him in quicksand. He reaches for a branch, pulls the branch away and whacks him in the face. The whole planet is at this consciousness's, command. It's throwing him down a waterfall. But eventually he just says, hey, hold on, man. Let's just talk. I just want to talk. So the planet agrees. And they start chatting. And I'm not really sure what the hell's going on in this comic. I gotta say, I did due diligence. I read this comic twice, this shitty comic twice, because I thought maybe I was missing something. Maybe he just has an interesting way of telling a story. But no, this guy is just like, just random things happen. It's, sorry. I was a little in awe of this panel. This is a very nice panel. But I'm also a little annoyed that this beautiful art is wasted on such a crap story. So as he leaves the planet, he's basically like, yeah, you know, I can't do this mission. Right? The planet's my friend, basically. I'm not gonna, you know, haul it in. It's not like he could anyway. And then as he's leaving, the planet kind of changes, and the big reveal at the end is that the world realized she was female. And the planet, I don't know, it's like this beautiful woman in a egg shell, and he flies off. It just makes no sense. It's just ridiculous. And it's like, who cares? Yeah, okay, the planet could be male or female. Who gives a shit? I don't get it at all. This is a really nice, well-drawn woman, though. Tom Eats, and you can totally see the Rick Bryant influence there. Rick Bryant was really good. Ugh, just annoying. He's in every issue of these, so you're going to see me get flabbergasted again. This is really interesting. This is the first chapter of Encyclopedias, written by Mike Barrett and drawn by Steve Rude. This is like a year or two before the first issue of Nexus. And it's kind of fascinating to see, like, because, you know, the first issue of Nexus, if you've ever seen it, Steve Rude kind of comes out of the gate firing on all cylinders. He's pretty damn good. But here it's even a little before that, and he's not quite good. This is like a Protean Steve Rude. You can see his style. Definitely you can kind of tell it's Steve Rude, but very rough around the edges. It's definitely not the artist he became, the exquisite, polished Steve Rude. But it's definitely, you know, interesting. Steve Rude's an interesting cartoonist. So this is a kind of, I don't know, post-apocalyptic. It's basically the world has gotten really shitty. I mean, there's still businesses and government, whatever, but people are starving. Feral dogs are running around attacking people, packs of them. And there's groups of cannibals running around, just snatching people off the street and eating them. That's how hungry people are, and how desperate times are. So it's this really rough world. And we see our hero here. He gets attacked by a dog and kills it. Very daily occurrence in this world. And he sees a flyer for an encyclopedia salesman now hiring. And he's like, fuck it, I haven't eaten in 2 days. Why not? I got nothing to lose. So he goes to the place, and he passes the interview. And so in this future, encyclopedia salesman is basically like, you basically have to be a soldier of fortune, like a mercenary. Most of the training is combat training, because these guys are going to be dropped off in these really dangerous areas. We find out that our guy's an ex-Marine. He's pretty kick-ass. The martial arts trainer, he knocks the martial arts trainer on his ass his first day. So they're going through their whole process of learning, you know. And I like this scene, though. We got this, it's like a scene at a Glengarry Glen Ross. We got this little motivating salesman speaker type guy. And he's getting more and more excited. And I love the body language here. He's just wigging out. He's just like selling his art, selling his truth. And he's like, you know how to sell? You got to grab the customer by the throat and wrestle them to the ground. And when they're so exhausted they can't even move, you've got to take their limp hand and scrawl their names on the contract and seal the deal. And he just collapses, spent, and they have to drag him off. So he graduates the training, And one of his coworkers says, what area did you pick, to sell encyclopedias? And he said, when I was a kid, my dad would always talk about Fair Oaks, nice suburban area of the city, kind of cush. And the guy's like, dude, you made a bad choice. Fair Oaks changed a lot since you were a kid. That's cannibal country now. So he's like, fuck. So he parachutes into Fair Oaks, and that's how the chapter ends. He's already his first work day. Okay, this is the reason why we're here. Chapter 1 of Freakwave, A Stranger in Paradise. Script and story, Peter Milligan. Art and story, Brendan McCarthy. So they collaborated on the story. So let me say first off, it's really disappointing. It's colored by this... it's colored by... I think it's colored by Brendan McCarthy, but they didn't have the full painted color. This is nicer coloring than mainstream comics on newsprint, but it still wasn't quite there. So the colors are a little wonky. I gotta say, in the early 80s, when the first process coloring came around, and a lot of these colors didn't know what to do. It's almost like they had too many colors to work with now, and they were using all these garish colors. So there's some really, really wonky coloring in this. So Freakwave takes place in this post-apocalyptic world where everyone lives on the ocean. And mind you, this is like at least, 8 to 10 years before Waterworld came out. Waterworld stole the idea. There's still land here, but it's so poisoned by the nuclear fallout from the nuclear wars that everyone has to live on the ocean. So we see our hero here. He's called the Drifter. He's a surf nomad, and very much like Mad Max. He's just a loner, just lives on his instincts, his cunning. And we even see here, dedicated to Byron Kennedy. He was the producer of the first 2 Mad Max films. He died before Mad Max 3. Brendan McCarthy is just a total fanboy of Mad Max. This whole comic is a complete homage to the Mad Max films. Well, there was only 2 at the time. And strangely enough, about 30 years later, Brendan McCarthy co-directed Mad Max Fury Road with George Miller. So strange that, he was basically here just kind of doing fan fiction or, homage of Mad Max. And he ended up actually co-directing a Mad Max film with George Miller. So the Drifter's just cruising around. He finds this little trash shoal, and he figures he'll see if he can scavenge some crap from it. It's already been picked through, but then he's attacked by a water rat. And these water rats are, they're just incredibly poisonous. Their razor-sharp teeth transmit a flesh-rotting disease. So the Drifter flips the water rat. And when he looks in the horrific face of the water rat, for some reason, he's reminded of someone from his past that he lost, Susanna. We don't know anything about her. I don't think we ever find out who Susanna actually was. Obviously, someone he cared about very much and who is now gone. So he kills the water rat with his crossbow. And then he's attacked. Something pings off of his shoulder armor. And he looks around, and it's these 2 spoilers. That's what they call these guys. These are basically like the guys in Road Warrior who work for Humongous. They're just... like George Miller calls them in the script, they're like smegma crazies, gay boy berserkers. They're just like total psychotic, evil, pillagers and rapers. They just go around fucking with people. So he's like, oh shit. So they attack him, but he gets the upper hand. He's really good at fighting and kills one of them. The other guy shoots him in the shoulder. And then he dives underwater and shoots him in the head. See what I mean by these colors? Like his face is kind of jaundiced yellow here. Now it's blue. I don't know. Kind of crazy. So, and then right then, the electric fog blows in. The electric fog is the poisonous gas that every now and then wafts in from the mainland over the ocean. And he lost his fog mask when he fell in the water. I really love this panel. It's really great art, even with the wonky coloring. So he starts tripping. Look at this amazing, so Brendan McCarthy. And he passes out. So now we're introduced to Redcliffe and Williams. And there are these two, like, very genteel characters in this post-apocalyptic world. It seems like somehow they've avoided, losing their humanity. They still are they're polite and mostly ethical. And they just putt around in their little boat, trading things with people and selling their rot gut fermented seaweed booze. So they find the drifter and they rescue him and they say, let's take him to the settlement. So now we see the settlement. It's called the Outrigger. And just so Brendan McCarthy. I mean, such a great visual imagination. He totally, makes this amazing little pocket of civilization in this world. All these buses up on stilts, all these random vehicles. Seems like there's an oil rig there. He just really thinks about the settings and design of everything. So they bring him there, and when he wakes up, we're introduced to the leader of the settlement, Tia. And this is her loyal muscle no-go. She basically tells him, you can hang out for, a day or so while you recuperate, but you got to get out of here because you were tangling with Captain Roaring's boys. That's who those two spoilers work for. He's like the Lord Humongous of this world. And she says, but you got to go. I don't want trouble with Captain Roaring. So consider yourself lucky I took you in. So he leaves and he heads to Captain Roaring's place. Captain Roaring's got this giant old battleship he calls the Red Herring. And it's, the head of the armada of all of his smaller ships where all of his spoilers hang out on. Look at just all these great designs. This guy's got like old telephones dangling from his hair like jewelry. It's like so obvious that this guy would go on to direct Mad Max Fury Road, It's beautiful touches everywhere. So he infiltrates the ship. And he's in the lower holds, and he sees that all these cages full of those water rats. And he doesn't know why they're, hoarding all these water rats. And he's kind of hiding, and then this guy named Virus comes out. He's like the zookeeper for these water rats, and he's feeding them rotting man flesh. So Drifter comes up behind him with his crossbow. Says, take me to Captain Roaring. So he leads him to his chamber, and he peeks in the door, and Captain Roaring's having a nice cozy dinner with Tia. And he says, about this Drifter, he killed 2 of my spoilers. And she says, don't worry, I dealt with him. He's leaving in the morning. He says, that's not good enough. He must be eliminated. And Drifter's watching this, saying, oh, that two-faced bitch. She's trying to set me up. But then Roaring says, Tia, I want to introduce you to someone. This is the guy who's going to take care of the Drifter for me. Mickey Death. I love this fucking guy. This is only Brendan McCarthy could design this guy. He's got 2 fucking anchors fused to the side of his head. Mickey Mouse ears. He's got a don't walk sign blinking on his chest. All these crazy spikes and stuff. Just so amazing. So impractical. Like this guy his head would be falling over all the time, but it doesn't matter. It's great. Okay, let's get to number 2 here. We start off with a Dave Stevens cover of Rocketeer fame. That's pretty nice. And here we start off with another David Campiti written story. This time, he collaborates with Cynthia J. Wood, who's his wife. Excuse me. Let me get some water. And the art is by Bob McLeod. Bob McLeod is did mainstream comics for decades. Usually an inker, but every now and then he would pencil. He's a pretty good penciler, definitely from the Neil Adams school. Very slick, clean. So the art's okay, But man, this story's even worse than that first one. Once again, I read this story twice because I respect you viewers, and I want to give you the most scholarly examination of these comics I can. So I literally read this piece of shit twice. This, just storytelling-wise, it makes no sense. There's they'll do these little flashbacks that seem to have nothing to do with the main story. There's no drama really in the story. There's no, oh yeah, we have to do something and let's do it. And, it's just ridiculous. There's basically these lady pirates who call themselves the Stargrazers. It's kind of lighthearted. The women all banter with each other. They're whatever. The dialogue's terrible too. It's kind of hard to follow. And then somehow they're related to these dragons who are called Stargrazers, who earned their name because they feed off of suns. They actually suck the energy from suns. So, yeah, whatever antics, inanity. I kind of like that, Just very Neil Adams, early John Byrne. Just nice comic booky style. It's this flashback about the first Stargrazers. Oh my God. It doesn't make any sense. It's just crap. And it's not even interesting. I've showcased some stories that don't really make sense. They're kind of head scratchers. This is just inane. It's just so bad. Oh, God. Okay, now we got part 2 of Encyclopedia's sales call. So our hero is in Fair Oaks, his first day of work. So he starts trying to sell encyclopedias. Shows up at this one yard. These kids are like, look, it's a salesman. Get dead. And he goes up to the door. And this guy is just very hostile. He's like, get the fuck out of here. And the wife is even more hostile because I guess she got suckered into buying some encyclopedias earlier. And she starts throwing them at him. She's like, take these with you. Get the hell out of here. He tries to knock on another door. This huge dog comes out, almost rips his face off. But he escapes. Then finally he finds this kind of well-kept house. He's like, this looks promising. Looks friendly. And it's a little old lady lives there. And she's like, I'm not really interested in encyclopedias, but do you want to come in for some tea? As long as you don't give me a hard sell, I wouldn't mind the company. So he just sets up his little video thing that advertises the encyclopedias, but he's, not pushing it. And they're chatting. And then there's a knock on the door. And it turns out it's the dishware salesman. And this guy has locked up the whole area. It's like his territory. Any other salesman comes in this territory, he takes care of them. He even bullies anyone in the town if he suspects that they're talking to a salesman, which he is doing now. He's like, there's a salesman in there, open up. He just bullies everyone. And he kicks open the door. And we see why he gets away with it. He's fucking huge. He can barely get through the door. So he asks our hero, what you got, diphead? Magazine subscriptions, cosmetics, vitamins? You're going to wish it was health insurance. So to be continued. He's in a pickle. Oh, man, this is bad. Darren Auk. Thank God I've never seen him again. This is, just look at these faces. This is so bad. This is like a 15-year-old drawing a superhero fancy in the 70s, like the kind of art you'd see. Really terrible stuff. This is a goofy science fiction story. This alien race has been invading Earth. They can cloud your mind, make you see what they want you to see. So they've got track one to this house. And this guy breaks in. There's a little old lady there. And he's like, you've been sheltering an alien. And she says, no, he's harmless. Because this is how he looks. He makes himself look. He looks like a cute little baby alien. He kills him. He knows the score. And then he leaves. After he leaves, the baby's there. And she's like, oh, I see. You used your ability to make illusions. He only thought he destroyed you. She says, are you hungry? I'll get you something to eat. And then she goes in the fridge. The alien shows its true form. And he's going to chow down on her. Ugh, bad. But it's almost worth it because we get Freakwave. More Freakwave. Look at this great art. I mean, you know, Blvd McCarthy's so known for his kind of like zany, surreal art. I kind of forget that he was just a great damn like straight artist, you know? This is amazing. When he was at 2000 AD, you know? I'm glad he changed his style and drew the way he wanted to because that's way more rewarding. But still, this guy's got just total chops all around. So now the Drifter barges in on Captain Roaring and Tia and Mickey Death and shoots Captain Roaring right in the mouth with his crossbow. Mickey Death lunges for him but misses. So Tia and the Drifter jump out the window down to the ocean. Look at these great, just another great design for the spoiler. There's no big characters in this comic. Even the big characters are just totally like well designed and he puts thought into them. So they shoot one of these spoilers who's on this kind of like surf craft. It's kind of like a jet ski that you stand on, like a surfboard. And they take off. Mickey Death is in hot pursuit. He's like, come on, guys, we got to get those guys. I love this. They get in this kind of like car boat. It just looks like a cool old car. But it's a ocean-going vessel. And they catch up to the Drifter and Tia. His surfcraft is out of gas. So he's like, we're going to have to use wave power now. But he's a really good surfer, so he goes towards these huge waves and he shoots the curl of this monster wave. And then he escapes. And they're not so lucky, though. Mickey Death and the spoilers, they're totally getting knocked over by the wave. And Mickey Death reveals that he's like, I can't swim. So he's fucked. I like this this little design work he does. This is more and more. You'll see more of this. Blvd McCarthy really, you can see him growing as an artist in this series. Now we're back at the settlement. We see this guy, the Chief. And I love this. He's got one of those Australian hats on, you know, the ones with the little dangling balls to keep flies away. But his are all Pez dispensers. Even though you can barely see him, it's like Blvd McCarthy is just such a nut. This guy's got this helmet that's like half of an old TV set, just bonked on his head. The cord is just dangling down. He's got the antennas. Oh, I love this shit. So back at the settlement, they've got nets and barricades because they know Roaring is going to attack soon. Now we're back at the Drifter and Tia. They're just drifting through the ocean because they're out of gas. And then once again, Redcliffe and Williams show up to save the day. These guys always just seem to be at the right spot at the right time. And they're like, we'll take you back to the settlement. So they get in the boot, and they've got Redcliffe and Williams have to ride right by these, Roaring's ship. That's so amazing, this guy. Look at that design. Both of these guys. So they just, they bluff their way past. So they get back to the settlement, And, but then the drifter says, Redcliffe Williams, we're going for a ride. And they take off with a white flag to confront Roaring, who's on his way to attack the settlement. Man, Roaring is just such a psychotic. He's such a nut. He says, kill them all. Kill yourselves if necessary, but bring me the head of the drifter. He really does not like that guy for shooting his face. Here we got Vanguard Illustrated number 3. This is a nice treat. We get a nice Al Williamson cover. Okay, so here, the 3rd chapter. They even say in the editorial that they ponied up extra money to get this full painted color. So this is Brendan McCarthy. You know, this is real Brendan McCarthy coloring. This is how it should have been. They even admit it. So I'm so bummed that those first 2 chapters have never been reprinted in, you know, with nice color, like remastered. So here's chapter 3. Love this guy. What the hell is this shit? Just craziness. I love this panel of Roaring, man. See how much better it looks? Oh, the background colors. Just, it gets more and more designy. So Roaring's on his way. I like her. He's got this like Bride of Frankenstein looking woman. Her hair is like 3 times as big as the Bride of Frankenstein. So the spoilers, you know, capture Redcliffe and Williams, and Redcliffe just totally gives up Drifter. He says, yeah, he's in the boot of the car. And but then they tie him all up. They chain him all up. And the Drifter says, seems Roaring's gonna carve you up anyway. You creep sold me out for nothing. And Williams says, we were just playing for time. They're not that bad, these guys. They're pretty good. So then Tia shows up in this little tanker. And she radios in to Roaring. She says, hey, if you promise not to lay a finger on the settlement, you can lay whatever you like on me. Because Roaring's always had a thing for her. She's kind of led him on all this time to protect the settlement and even flirted with him a little. So he's just like, yeah, let her aboard. Let her come on board. So she jumps on board, and then she sets the steering wheel to crash into the tanker. It's got all this oil in it. God, this art looks so much better with this coloring. This is just gorgeous. So the tanker crashes into the side of the red herring and explodes. And so below deck, there's fire spreading. So Virus, the zookeeper for these water rats, he's like, flames everywhere. Virus, he not want his sweethearts toasted. Out you come, my lovelies. And he lets them out of their cages, and they instantly eat him. He thinks that they'd like him because he always fed them, but they don't care. They're water rats. So now everything's getting crazy. The water rats are on the loose. More electric fog is coming in. They can't get to their fog masks because the water rats are in the way. So everyone starts tripping here. See, we got more psychedelic McCarthy art. And then Tia's running through the boat, and she comes along. She finds the Drifter and Redcliffe and Williams. No explanation how they got out of their chains from the previous page. As we see in this chapter, Milligan and McCarthy really don't care about narrative as much as they care about their own interesting storytelling stuff. They've got weirder fish to fry than just telling a narrative story. So we realize from the dialogue that, you know, Roaring is the one who killed Susanna and his family, this nebulous family that we don't really ever see. Just like in Mad Max, you know. He's got to get revenge. So he's like, you guys go. I'm going to take care of this guy. I got to confront this guy. This ship's totally on fire at this point. It's amazing the way he depicts these flames. So nice. And then the ship explodes. We don't even see the final confrontation between the two. And she says, Redcliffe, come on. We gotta, maybe the drifter's floating around. Maybe we can find him. He's like, I'm sorry, Williams is really messed up. His metal plate came loose. Would you go into the boot of the car and get some brandy? That might help him. And when she opens the trunk, Mickey Death pops out. Shock ending. It's just like in Road Warrior at the end when Wes, who you thought was totally dead, pops up and grabs the feral child. And now here it gets, so this, the dialogue, the captions. It says, but Tia can never know if Drifter is out there. There will always be too many questions. There will never be enough time, but time can be stretched. Time is as much clay as stone. Time can even be stopped. 1 second can be frozen. We can cast a shadow between the motion and the act, leaving the cold edge of Mickey's death's axe, always one swing away from Tia's neck, leaving Tia always one heartbeat away from eternity. So it's almost like they're just freezing the comic. And then the last page, this is total surrealism. We cut away to London, and we see Milligan and McCarthy sitting in a pub, drinking their pints. And Milligan says, What do you think happened to the Drifter? And McCarthy's like, who cares? There are characters. We can do what we like with them. And then somebody says, Mr. Milligan, McCarthy? And then it's the Drifter. And he shoots him in the head with two crossbow bolts. And then he walks out into the cold London night, and a VW bug pulls up with Redcliffe and Williams. And in the back seat, it's Tia and Roaring, Captain Roaring. And he says, hey, going our way? Hop in. So it's just so fucking weird that for 3 chapters, Milligan and McCarthy have been setting up this total slam-bang action comic, amazing science fiction comic. And then they're just like, you know how these things end. There's going to be a big fight. Someone's going to die. Someone's going to live. Fuck it. And that's the end of Freakwave, the first part. Just nuts. But man, I love it. So here we got chapter 3 of Encyclopedia's Duel with Dwarf Dishware. And that big brute of a salesman comes in. They have this amazing fight. Yeah, some good Steve Root stuff here. It's not quite all there, but not bad. So our hero escapes. They have a duel, but he just tricks him and runs away while his back is turned. And he jumps over this fence, figuring that this guy's too big and fat to jump over this fence. And he lands right in the middle of this alley with all these sleeping dogs. Which, if you remember, in this world, this is like ending up in a lion's den. We see human carcasses and bones all over. And it says, next, Dog City, but we will not find out what happens because I don't have that issue anymore. Issue 4, which is the 4th chapter. Here we have a Killer in Orbit by Rex Lindsay. I think this is another Kubert School graduate. A little sci-fi tale. We got this woman who's kind of like an EPA inspector of the future. And this corporation spewing this radioactive toxic shit. So she's going to report them, getting evidence. And these 2 corporate goons show up. And they nab her and take her to the office of the CEO. Typical cigar-chomping fat cat bastard. Tries to bribe her. She's like, fuck you, fat man. So he knows he can't kill her because her life is monitored by the government headquarters. They'll know exactly when and where she died. So they throw her into this prison cell with all these hardened, evil guys. And they're like, hey, do you want to make friends? But she's got this little, like, hidden laser gun she had. And she starts lasering the door, and she says, stand back. This laser can burn flesh easier than this metal door. So don't fuck with me. But she escapes, and, in doing so, she frees all the prisoners. So there's a big, riot going on. So during this ensuing chaos, she sneaks up to the CEO's chambers and takes him hostage and takes the evidence to prove that they're polluting all this stuff. He gets the upper hand for a second and grabs her knife, but then he trips and falls into this molten metal, and she flies off. Okay, once again, we got David Campiti. This is, on top of being badly written, this is so just like pretentious and sappy and ugh. It's basically just about this, this total homage to Ray Bradbury. This just like blowjob to Ray Bradbury, basically. And it's kind of written in that Bradbury style. These kids grow up in a very Bradbury-like town, small town USA. The older brother loves science fiction, kind of a dreamer, but he also realizes that to make his dreams come true, he's got to study. So he's practical about it, and he wants to make his sci-fi fantasies come true. So he dedicates his life to science. When he's a grown man, he's put in charge of the first permanent colony on Mars. Even though he still, loves sci-fi. See a little shout out to Harlan Ellison, L. Frank Baum. I forgot to mention, this is drawn by Tom Yeats. Art's pretty nice. It's a shame it's wasted on this piece of crap story. So basically the thing is, it's like, once the Martian colony is totally established, he's kind of in charge of like meeting and greeting the dignitaries and inviting certain people. And he invites Ray Bradbury. And we see Ray Bradbury come down. And at the end he says, Ray Bradbury had finally come home. Oh, God. It's terrible. Oh, look at that, though. That just almost washes the bad taste of that story out of my mouth. Just look at that shit. Just the inventiveness. Pop cans, playing cards, pens, more Pez. So much. You could just stare at this for so long. Keep finding stuff. He's got a Ditko tattoo. Patrick McGowan, number 6. More Pez, a dildo. Little skulls. God, that's nice. So there you have it. Vanguard Illustrated, number 1 through 3. The only issues I care to own that are worthy of the Petixonian Institute. So I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, these are worth getting just for the Freakwave. I just wish they'd collect that stuff. I just want to be rid of the other stuff in this. So there you have it. Hopefully I'll see you next time here at the Petixonian Institute of Comic Book Studies.